Write yourself off, yeah. It's only in your head you feel left out. Look down more. Just try your best. Try everything you can. Don't you worry what they tell themselves. You're all way. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. Hey, you know they're all the same. You know you're doing better on your own. So don't buy in. Live right now. Just be yourself. It doesn't matter if it's good enough for someone else. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. Hey, to write yourself off, yeah. It's only in your head you feel left out. Look down now. Just do your best.
Do your best.
Do everything you can.
Do everything you can.
Don't you worry what the bitter hearts are gonna say. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright.
Welcome to WellSprings. We're on our online service. I'm Kathleen Higgins, and my pronouns are she and her. It's my honor and my blessing to serve as worship leader this morning. You know, each week when we gather, even when we have to gather at a distance, we light a chalice, not only as a symbol of our spiritual heritage at Unitarian Universalists, but to recognize that divine spark that's inside of each of us, both emerging and eternal, is illuminating our lives and the lives of everyone we meet. Today, as we light our chalice, we can be especially thankful for the wonderful sparkle of our member, Merle Bow. This week, our friend Merle is celebrating her 90th birthday. After we light our chalice, we'll say the words that will appear on the screen together. And together we say, we light our chalice
to
celebrate the path before us, the warmth of kindness that shines within us, and the radiance of wisdom that is shared between us and never goes out. Our mission as a congregation is to be charged full with the charge of the soul. Being charged full is unique to each of us, and unique to each day and sometimes each moment. In our recent message series, we've been experiencing some spiritual practices. You know, sometimes we can be full of joy, or it could be with sorrow. Well, for being an adult this week got too heavy, so I took some time out for this. So our charge full this morning is actually from last week. The snow in Delaware is just thrilling to me. I was born and raised in Michigan, and every time the snow gets marvelous, I turn into a happy child again. So here we've got our dogwood tree just covered with that heavy, wet, wonderful snow that's so much fun to play in. So I'm going to make a snow angel. Bear with me a moment. Total fun for me. Let's see if we can hold it far enough you can see the snow angel. The charge full, as Josie was speaking of last night, how much is enough? This is enough snow to make me thrilled for a long time. And may we each find what brings us joy all our lives, from childhood to just about my age too. Thank you guys. Not all of our beloved community gathering virtually right now is anywhere near snow. We have the advantage of technology to connect us from afar. So our website has phone numbers and our email addresses for our ministers and staff, along with a ton of other information about us. On your screen, you can see the social media addresses for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You're also welcome, please, to our Facebook private group, WellSprings Oasis. There's a link on the video description you can click on to sign up for our weekly email newsletter. And that's a great way to make sure that you don't miss out on any of our offerings online, like our programming for kids and our meditation and drop-in hours with our ministers. It goes without saying any time, but especially in these strange and sometimes difficult times, please reach out to us. Anywhere, anytime. Jessica right now has a couple announcements for us. Jessica?
Hi, WellSprings. My name is Jessica Heichel, and I have 2 announcements for you this week. The first is that the Heartworks team is still looking for folks who can contribute meals to St. Mary's Franciscan Shelter for the Adopt a Meal program. This will take place during a week in March, and we are looking for folks to sign up ahead of time. If you can contribute anything that you think would help complete a meal, we'd really appreciate it. So I will put information about how you can sign up to contribute into the chat. Second announcement is that our first session of WellSprings 1.0 was last weekend. We had a great turnout, great discussion, really enjoyed it. So there is another opportunity to do that a week from today. There are 3 WellSprings 1.0 sessions in all. You can attend them in any order. So if you have not yet signed up RSVP, don't worry about it. We just want you to attend if you're interested. So I will put some information into the chat. This is open to anyone who is interested in WellSprings membership, and we hope to see you then. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
At WellSprings, the foundation of everything we do is in the power of connection, making space in our hearts and our lives for each other. So we can take a few minutes now and do things like maybe put in a chat window, or make a note of who you want to talk to, or join into our WellSprings Oasis. Just reach out maybe after service. Remember someone that you really wanted to touch base with us. How about joining our online coffee hour this morning at Zoom at 11 o'clock, right after the service. The Zoom link is also on that video description on our screen. So let's take a moment now to send out some greetings. I'll do some of that myself. As always, thank you for your warm greetings. I want to invite you now into our time of generosity. It's a time to reflect on and maybe to express our gratitude for the role WellSprings plays in our own lives and also in the wider world. Right now, kindness, compassion, and generosity make such a difference. Now more than ever. So as you take a moment to reflect on the value that WellSprings has in your life, especially as we reach out to other people, We might hope that your resources are sustained so you can choose to share a material gift with us. If you have a smartphone handy, you can text WellSprings, WSPRINGS, to 73256, and then you'll get a link that will help you complete a gift online. So for your support of WellSprings and all we do and share, thank you. Thank you very much. Just as we take the time to share the energy of connection between ourselves and generosity beyond us, let's now devote some time to reground into that deep and soulful energy that's within ourselves. We do this by doing what's most simple and elemental in our lives. Take a breath. We inhale and exhale without rush or hurry. We breathe in and we breathe out. There's nowhere to go, nowhere else to be. We can be here together now. We follow these words from Thich Nhat Hanh into our time of mindful silence. If we want to enter heaven on earth, we need only one conscious step and one conscious breath. Let us cultivate peace and experience presence in this quiet time together. Wherever it is that we are, whatever it is that we're doing, however it is that we are feeling, let us remember that peace and presence are always as close to us as is our own breath. May this be so for you this moment. May it be so for you this day. May it be so for you in the days to come. And may it be so for all of us. When we gather in person, this is the time that we dismiss all the young people to their time together in Youth Spirit. So these days, Youth Spirit actually meets on Zoom every Sunday at 9 a.m. So for now, though, let's see if we have any shout-outs from our youth. So this week, how about our Youth Spirit Yell?
What you doing?
We are trying to make an igloo.
Right. It's a COVID igloo. Only one family in it at a time.
Where's the door though? Right now.
Haven't made the door yet. It's just a huge lump of snow. You'd never know how much snow goes into making an igloo. It shovels like half the yard.
There's nobody in it yet, thankfully.
Well, what do you want to say to all of our WellSprings friends when they see this video at church next week?
We miss you guys all so much, and we're so excited to get back to being in person. But until then, we get to share our beautiful COVID igloos.
Yeah. It's easier to do this at 20 than 43.
All right. Bye.
Introducing the igloo of 566 West Saxony Drive.
Oh! We live in it. It's rent free.
One family at a time for social distancing purposes.
Yeah.
Can you get out?
Slight liability.
Getting out is sort of a bonus.
So you
All
try.
right.
If you get out, it's icing on the cake.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay. We did it. We did it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're happy to consult with you on how to build your own igloo. Oh.
Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring the little fishes, bring the sharks, bring 'em from the brightness, bring 'em from the dark. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em from the caverns, bring 'em from the heights, bring 'em from the shadows, stand 'em in the light. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em out of Pearl, bring 'em out of Store, bring 'em out of Hiding, lay them at my door. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. My heart. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring the unforgiven, bring the unredeemed, bring the lost and nameless, let them all be seen. Bring 'em out of exile, bring 'em out of sleep, bring 'em to the courtroom, lay them at my feet. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. My heart. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in, bring 'em all into my heart.
Good morning, WellSprings. It's good to be with you again. Some of you might know that my wife is a professional journalist, and what that has meant over the last 11 months of the pandemic, when both she and I have been working almost exclusively from home, is that the news is on here a lot. A lot. I mean, literally what happens on our professional days when we're both working is I'll head upstairs to the third floor of our house, which is where I'm speaking to you from right now, where throughout the week I will see clients remotely, and she'll be downstairs on our first floor in her own newsroom that she's fashioned for herself. Sometimes throughout the day, in between sessions, I'll wander down on the way to the kitchen to get something to eat, and I'll see her with anywhere between 3 to 5, sometimes more screens, television, computer screens, smartphone open, with all kinds of news media being received, some of which she is actively in that moment writing and producing. So the news is around and on a lot in our house. Try to be mindful about it, try to take intentional breaks, stand back from it, so that we might be able to absorb what's happening in a sustainable way. Now, sometimes because of all that news, it can just feel like this unrelenting stream, ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. But throughout this past year, this almost now 11 months of the pandemic, with all that has happened in our world, there have been a few moments that have really kind of stayed with me. One of them was not too long ago. It was a story on CNN by a journalist named Sarah Sidner, coming out of Los Angeles County. And if you know anything about the course of this novel coronavirus, you know that Los Angeles County in California has been kind of at the devastating epicenter of the effects of COVID-19. And Sarah Sidner was reporting on a multi-generational family, 3 generations, that had experienced the infections with quite a number of their members and deaths across several generations from people in this family. Heartbreaking story. Effectively, powerfully delivered. And towards the end of this report, Sarah Sidner, who was speaking live on television, started to cry. Honestly, openly, humanely. Just sharing how deeply moved her heart had been by this family that she was reporting on, who she got to know in their lives and in their deaths. It stays with me because of what I want to talk about today in this message series that we're calling Coming Home, about various spiritual practices that allow us to return to our breath and to our bodies in the midst of, what's the best way I can say it, all this, all this of being alive right now. Being alive in a particular way that these spiritual practices can help us with, being alive in a sustainable way, not numbing out or checking out, or not being completely overwhelmed by the all of this. The spiritual practices I want to talk about today are often talked about as either compassion practices or sometimes simply called heart practices. They're ways of practicing keeping our hearts open in a vulnerable and tender and ongoing, sustainable way, so we're not checked out or overwhelmed. Many of these heart practices, or what are called the heart practices, emerge out of Buddhism and have been shared beyond the tradition. And they form a core of my own personal spiritual practice. And I kind of turned back to Sarah Sidner these last couple of months as almost kind of an aspirational presence of what it is to stay open and with what it's like to experience heartbreak, what it's like to experience sadness and grief, and also a whole bunch of other emotions, anxiety, anger, all parts of being alive at this time. I think of a beautiful line from the Hebrew Scriptures. Now, my experience of the divine is not of a God who is kind of out there, up there, and that's the perspective from which this particular line of Scripture is offered. But even in the differences between how I experience the divine and how it expresses it, the root that is there is so meaningful and such a deep invitation. It reads from the perspective of God, from the prophet Jeremiah, I will give them a heart of flesh and take away their heart of stone. I will take away their heart of stone and give them a heart of flesh. Love that image of a beating, real, live, vulnerable heart not of stone, impermeable, untouchable, but real and alive and awake to all of this. And this is what the heart practices are about. I want to share with you a heart practice now, and it can be one that we can, or you can use, any of us can use at a moment at which we might feel that sense of overwhelm or shutting down with anger, with anxiety, with grief, with sadness, with loss, whatever it is that might be coming up for you. And I'm going to ask you to join with me in this if you wish to. Again, nothing compulsory here. If you would rather just kind of observe what feels like the most safe and skillful choice for you, please do that. And if you want to join in, I'm going to ask you to do so. It involves placing the hand on the heart, noticing our breath, closing our eyes if you wish to, and kind of working with the emotion that is there, especially if it feels kind of overwhelming. And so I'll pick anxiety, an emotion I'm kind of familiar with. But you could pick another emotion if it's more present for you or feels like it would be more helpful for you. So the first thing in this practice is just to notice the breath. Notice the in-breath. And notice the out-breath just for a few cycles. And maybe as your hand is on your heart, you're noticing your own heartbeat. Or maybe you're noticing the warmth of the hand on your heart. And it just kind of helps you to be a little bit kind of in touch in this moment. And then with the emotion that might be arising, that might be kind of difficult to work with or might feel a little overwhelming, you can just offer yourself these phrases, each repeated a few times. The first is just kind of an acknowledgement. Could be stated like this in working with anxiety. Right now, I'm noticing anxiety is present. Breathing into and out of that acknowledgement. Right now, I'm noticing that anxiety is present. Right now, I'm noticing that anxiety is present. Right now, I'm noticing that anxiety is present. And from this acknowledgement, moving to a little bit of validation. Sometimes it's okay that I'm experiencing anxiety. Sometimes it's okay that I'm experiencing anxiety. Breathing into and out of this, whatever's coming up. Sometimes it is okay that I'm experiencing anxiety. And then from this acknowledgement and this validation of ourselves and of our experience in the present moment, offering a little aspiration, little intention. When I'm experiencing anxiety, I want to be as helpful and as kind to myself as I can be. When I'm experiencing anxiety, I want to be as helpful and as kind to myself as I can be. When I'm experiencing anxiety, I want to be as helpful and as kind to myself as I can be. And just kind of working with these three expressions, the basic noticing of it, the validating that it's okay to be experiencing it, and the desire to be helpful and kind when we're experiencing it. And just kind of now returning the focus to the hand on the heart and the breath, and checking in with how you're doing as we bring this little practice to a close. So this is just kind of a little self-compassion break. You know, in those moments in which it might kind of feel like the heart is closing down. And sometimes that's pressure that we put on ourselves, or pressure that we feel from others. And the heart practices work in a different way, which is rather than pushing the experience away, which especially with challenging emotions like anxiety or anger or shame or grief, most often what happens if we tend to push them away, we tend to get more of them in their more challenging expressions. So this little self-compassion break, this form of heart practice, is instead a kind of different way. Rather than greeting our suffering with anger or resistance, we turn to ourselves with gentleness and kindness, and also a kind of courage of noticing what it is like to work with and accept ourselves just as we are in the moment. And then being willing to be with whatever is arising for us. This can be a helpful practice when we feel that maybe the heart is getting a little close to stone, or maybe we're afraid that the heart will burst too much. Instead, just returning that kind and tender heart of flesh. And sometimes that self-compassion recognition is what we need to just kind of right the ship a little bit, and to remember that we are perhaps more resilient with our challenging emotions than we might think we are. And the truth is, these heart practices can be so powerful with the all of this, of and with the suffering, with the oppressions, with the unfairness of this life, with the cruelty, with the injustices. This is where the heart practices can be so transformative in terms of being able to sustain ourselves for the hard, difficult, and yet so really important work of wanting to help transform suffering into goodness and decency and justice. There's a meme that's been shared a lot this past year, and I think it's so on point with what heart practice is all about in the midst of all of this that we are facing collectively. It's from Laura Jean Truman, and she writes this as kind of a prayer. She says, "Keep my anger from becoming meanness. Keep my sorrow from collapsing into self-pity. Keep my heart soft enough to keep breaking. Keep my anger turned towards justice, not cruelty. Reminds me that all of this, every bit of it, is for love. Keep me fiercely kind. Keep me fiercely kind." Another way to put it is, help me, help us have a heart of flesh in the midst of all of this, as overwhelming as it can be. This is the value of a daily heart practice, is that we don't have to burn out because of the overwhelming nature of it, and we don't have to have hearts that turn to stone because of the overwhelming nature of all of this. But instead, stay alive and stay in touch with our own hearts and the hearts of others, even when our hearts are breaking sometimes. One of the most well-known kind of core spiritual or heart practices is what's called metta, or loving kindness. It is a kind of bedrock, foundational practice for me. And it's one I've practiced with quite a number of you over the years. And I'd like to invite you into a metta, into a loving kindness practice. It will be a little briefer than normally what I often do. But I'm going to ask you, if you wish to join me now in a loving kindness practice, in a metta practice. If you wish to, you can allow your eyes to drop closed, And again, if it's the right and helpful, safe choice for you not to participate in the practice right now and to simply observe, well, then do that. The foundation of metta, of loving kindness, is being able to receive ourselves, our own hearts, just as we are. So you make the most skillful, most right decision about what that looks like for you right now. So as I begin to practice loving kindness, one of the first things we can do is, again, just notice the breath. Just notice what it's like to breathe in and breathe out. And kind of setting that foundational intention that the breath is always here with us. We can always return to it in this practice and beyond this practice. And so in vowing to work the ground of our own heart soil, the first step in metta is to call to your mind's eye, call into your heart's eye, if you would, someone who you have a strongly positive sense of connection with. A really meaningful, loving connection with. They could be from the past, they could be from the present. And if someone like that is showing up here for you, imagine them seated in front of you, and getting a sense of their presence, and noticing what that brings up for you. Maybe a sense of warmth, maybe a small smile, maybe the desire to say thank you, or maybe something else is showing up. Again, greeting ourselves just as we are and staying with our experience. This is the heart of loving kindness practice. And so just noticing what's coming up for you as you hold this person in your mind and heart's eye. And then being willing to kind of allow them to fade from your mind's eye for a moment, maybe with a note of thanks to them. And then starting to turn the focus of your attention towards yourself and becoming willing to offer some phrases, some classical phrases of loving kindness to yourself. You can change these phrases if something else works better for you. But the phrases that can sound like this: may I live in safety. May I be happy. May I be as healthy as I can be. May I live with ease and with well-being. Breathing into and out of whatever is arising for you, whether it's a profound sense of openness towards offering loving kindness to yourself, or maybe you're noticing it's challenging. And still becoming willing, as you wish, to offer these phrases to yourself. May I live in safety. May I be happy. May I be as healthy as I can be. May I live with ease and with well-being. And again, just receiving whatever your experience is and opening to it as best you are able. And now kind of opening the aperture of our hearts a little bit wider and becoming willing to direct these phrases of loving kindness outward, beyond ourselves. And so calling to the mind, heart's eye right now, maybe that same person or same being as you did before, or maybe someone new, someone who you have a strongly loving, supportive relationship or sense of connection with. And then choosing to offering the phrases of loving kindness to them. May you live in safety. May you be happy. May you be as healthy as you can be. May you live with ease and with well-being. Again, noticing what's coming up with each in-breath and with each out-breath. And then choosing once more to offer these phrases of loving kindness. You who are beloved to me, may you live in safety. May you be happy. May you be as healthy as you can be. May you live with ease and with well-being. And again, receiving whatever's coming up for you, opening the heart to your own experience as wide as you are able, so that we might be able to choose to take another step, another expression of offering loving kindness beyond ourselves, calling into your mind, heart's eye right now, someone who maybe you're aware of their presence in your life, but you don't really know that much about them. You're not, in the typical meaning of the word, close to this person. It could be someone who dropped off a delivery. It could be someone who you see on screens in your life, someone who you're aware of their presence, but you don't really know them very much. If someone like this comes here into your heart, mind's eye, imagine them sitting in front of you, getting a sense of their presence and offering the phrases of loving kindness to them. May you live in safety. May you be happy. May you be as healthy as you can be. May you live with ease and with well-being. Noticing how that is to offer loving kindness to someone we don't really know very much about. And choosing once more, if you wish, to offer these phrases again. Even though I do not know you well, may you live in safety. May you be happy. May you be as healthy as you can be. May you live with ease and with well-being. And again, just noticing how that is. How it feels to offer phrases of loving kindness, even without really knowing if the person, quote unquote, deserves it or not. And so in this way, kind of trusting this energy, if it is safe for you, calling here into your heart and mind's eye, someone with whom you may have had disagreement or disappointment or hurt or even anger. And if you choose to, offering the phrases of loving kindness to them. May you live in safety. May you be happy. May you be as healthy as you can be. May you live with ease and with well-being. And again, noticing where you might be opening to this invitation to loving kindness, noticing where you might be closing down to it, and receiving both or anything else just as it is and just as you are. And again, if it is safe for you, choosing once more to offer these phrases of loving kindness, even though there is difficulty between us. May you live in safety. May you be happy. May you be as healthy as you can be. May you live with ease and with well-being. And getting in touch with the breath and with the body right now, and kind of noticing how that energy of the heart is showing up for you in this moment. And if you notice that there's willingness, maybe envisioning that this energy of the heart, of metta, of loving kindness, kind of extends outward in front of you as far as you might be able to perceive, and to the sides of you, to the right and to the left, and to the back of you, and down into the ground below you, and up into the sky above you. Just noticing how it is, if you would wish to offer this energy of loving kindness all around you, so that we might be able to say, may all beings live in safety. May all beings be happy. May all beings be as healthy as they can be. May all beings live with ease and with well-being. The happy beings and the sad beings, the beings that we know well and the beings that we don't know well, the beings that are thriving and the beings that are struggling, the beings who we know it's very easy for us to love, and the beings who, when we are honest, we know that it is very, very difficult for us to love. The beings who this moment are coming to be born, and the beings who this moment are coming to the end of their lives. Again, just noticing that basic energy of the heart. and checking in once again as we conclude with the energy of your own heart. Noticing how you are doing in this moment. And breathing into and out of whatever is arising. Allowing yourself to be with yourself just as you are and just as it is. For this is the foundation of loving kindness practice, to be with. Now, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Ultimately, these heart practices are an expression of our universalism. Universalism, which I understand is basically this, that there is a love so special, we don't have to be special to be loved. None of us do. We just have to be willing to stay with our hearts, be curious about our lives, be curious and caring with ourselves and with others. In some ways, it is the least special thing in the world. And that's what makes this heart, your heart and mine, so truly wonderful, and the seat and the source of so much in this life that allows us to heal and to be whole. Amen. And may you live in blessing. And for a prayer today that I would invite us into, I've already had a couple different spiritual practices. What I'm going to ask you is very simply just to place your hand on your heart, or both hands on your heart, or your hands in prayer pose in front of your heart. And simply for the prayer today, notice your own heart beating. And notice that what is happening with you right now is happening with everyone else who is alive. This heartbeat, this breath, this pulse and rhythm of life. May we connect into it sustainably, tenderly, and in a loving way.
Think about it. There must be higher love down in the heart or hidden in the stars above. Without it, life is wasted time. Look inside your heart, I'll look inside mine. Things look so bad everywhere. In this whole world, what is fair? We walk blind and we try to see, falling behind in what could be. Bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love. Oh, bring me a higher love. Where's that higher love I keep thinking of? Worlds are turning and we're just hanging on, facing our fears and standing out there alone. A yearning, and it's real to me. There must be someone who's feeling for me. Things look so bad everywhere. In this whole world, what is fair? We walk blind and we try to see, falling behind in what could be. Bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love. Oh, bring me a higher love. Where's that higher love I keep thinking of? Bring me a higher love.
the night up with my soul on fire. I could make the sunshine from pure desire. Let me feel that love come over me. Let me feel how strong it could be. Oh, bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love. Oh, bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love.
This is the time in our service where we extinguish the chalice that we have lit earlier this morning. Although this light goes out, the light does not. And we say these words together. As we release this flame from its faithful service today, we allow the spark in each of us to burn on, to warm our compassion, to fire our delight, to light our paths, today, tomorrow, and always. I'll hope to see some of you in the Zoom coffee hour in just a little bit. May you all be safe, and may you be well. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.